glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. I held that out a little bit there.
It was long.
Yeah, it was exciting. And we got some exciting news. The 49ers are kind of starting to lay out what their roster is going to look like on Sunday. So we're getting a glimpse into that and who they're protecting. Kind of brings up some new questions about how this roster is going to be constituted and which 48 guys will be active to play the Detroit Lions in Week 1 on Sunday.
That is true. It's going to be interesting to see who those guys are, but they're making moves and they're doing things, protecting players, moving guys around. So make sure that you hit that like button right this minute. You don't want to miss out on any of this content. Smack that thing into oblivion, and let's dive into these players, who they're protecting, what they're doing. So they make the move. They bring Dontae Johnson back. He's back, folks.
Guess who's back?
Back again.
Dontae's back.
DJ's back.
Tell
It's not
friends.
a surprise. You don't have to tell no friends. It's not a surprise. You literally called it yesterday.
Yeah.
Dontae Johnson's going to find a way back to this team.
Yeah.
I jokingly said, we'll see Dontae back on the practice squad. If so facto, 24 hours later, that is the case. DJ back on the practice squad and corresponding move, right? Mr. Elijah Sullivan, he's gone. He's been cut.
Yeah, I think that was a little surprising, that it was Elijah Sullivan. They must not have been as high on Sullivan as kind of was whispered. There was an impression that he was right there on Hilliard's, heels as far as that they were impressed by him that much. That obviously isn't the case. But let's remember last year, Jonas Griffith, that same situation happened. He was on the practice squad, got cut, ended up coming back. So there could be an avenue where he comes back now. But they had to make sure they have certain players available for Detroit. They're going to have certain practice squad players that they're going to protect and they're going to keep available because they have to make sure that their practice squad matches what they're doing with their regular roster and their active roster. So that way they can strategically move players around and use every single player of the entire 69 guys that they have under contract.
Yeah, and this might be one of those things right now, right, where you're going to keep certain guys on this practice squad and protect certain guys in this practice squad in the here and now, in this moment in time, for things like special teams, having a extra return option back there in case you don't want to throw Brandon Ayuk or Mohamed Sanu back there to return. Maybe Travis Benjamin is one of the active 55 guys on actual game day that's ready to go, like rip roaring and suiting up and out there for this team. But it could be a short-term thing, and we could see Elijah Sullivan come back into the fold later on down the road. Time will tell. But they protected 3 guys. They can protect up to 4. They've protected 3 so far. Nate Sudfeld, right? Travis Benjamin and Dee Virgin. Are any of those names a surprise to you, and why?
I think not a surprise, but interesting.
Definitely interesting.
First off, the fact that Sudfeld is protected, you start to ask, is Trey Lance going to be ready to play? Now, we're going to find out at practice if he's out there and he's whirling it around. If he is, then we have less questions. But Sudfeld needing to be prepared and ready to go, they are leaving the potential for them to be able to use him if they need to in a quarterback role and be one of those 55 guys. So he's not out of the question as somebody that could be active in the game, which is something I didn't expect. When you go to Travis Benjamin, I did expect him to be protected.
Yep.
Because our belief has been since he made it to the practice squad was as long as he doesn't have concussion protocol still there and he's cleared to play, that he's going to be one of the 48 active guys dressed. Kyle Shanahan alluded to having 5 wide receivers. It could be the fact that Travis Benjamin is actually the 6th guy, is going to be returning kicks and punts. That would kind of be the easiest route to go if you're worried about Brandon Ayuk's hamstring. So I thought those ones made the most sense. The one I was the most shocked about and surprised about would have to be Dee Virgin. I don't think it was like a crazy surprise, but at least a little bit surprised. Not that it was a corner, but that it was that particular corner in Dee Virgin. So is Mosley going to be healthy? I think we're going to find out here in practice over the next couple days, and we're going to get a very good understanding where he's at. They already have brought in Norman now to help secure the roster, but Dee Virgin, somebody that they're that high on or think they might need that they're protecting, that could play Sunday.
It makes sense, right, with Dontae Johnson, right, with them making the corresponding move and cutting him because of the hip stuff that he's been dealing with, and now you make the move for Josh Norman. You're now protecting Dee Virgin. They're trying to ensure that they're not having to go to a nobody scrub out there in space on game day if something were to happen to Emmanuel Mosley coming into this week 1 game.
Right.
They are definitely trying to ensure that they don't have a repeat of last year. They don't want to repeat history. They're protecting themselves and insulating themselves. This was the one that was the big surprise to me. Sudfeld also was a little bit of a surprise and a shock to me because I would have thought there's no reason to protect this guy, right? No one most likely is going to take this guy. However, if you are worried about Trey Lance's health and his finger, it could be that. Also, could just be some chess being played there by Kyle Shanahan, making the Lions think one thing or, okay, well, maybe we don't need to spend as much time prepping for Trey, when in all reality you do. By protecting Sudfeld, you send messages out there that maybe Trey's not healthy. They do less prep work for Trey Lance and less prep work for those packages. And then come game day, not only is he healthy and ready to go, he's full bore and ready to go. He can do everything you need him to do. And now the Lions, right, are playing from behind the 8 ball. You're not as prepared as you would because, well, they protected Nate Sudfeld. Maybe that means we don't have to prep as much. Is Kyle Shanahan playing that level of chess? Possibly. Hard to tell, though.
Yeah, you really don't know what he's doing. The only thing that I know for sure is that if you don't prepare for Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, you're going to be in a world of hurt. But they needed to make sure that they handle this. It's interesting that they're going to protect Dee Virgin, though, with the fact you still have Aubrey Thomas and Deommodore Lenoir. That to me, that is kind of crazy that you have the type of talent with Norman, with Verrett, and even if Mosley wasn't healthy, you would think you still had the depth there to be able to play. You wouldn't need to worry about somebody like Dee Virgin coming in and playing. So that's interesting to me, very interesting. And I think it's interesting too, just some of the other stuff that we've heard also coming out of Detroit about what Dan Campbell thinks about the 2 quarterback system and the fact they're planning on practicing for both. You're planning on practicing for both. That means you're contributing a lot of time to focus on it. And that means that the 49ers are definitely in their head. Whether Trey Lance plays or not now, the goal has been reached. It was funny. Alex Mack kind of insinuated the same thing. Isn't that the part of it? When they're asking him, who's going to play and all that, he's like, well, isn't that the fun of it? Like, who is going to play? That is the whole game plan for the 49ers, is to completely convince, trick, confuse defenses, even in their preparation. So they have to prepare for a multitude of things. And when you have to prepare for a multitude of things, you can't focus on the little things that you need. So sometimes you miss the little key facts and things that you're going to do. And Dan Campbell's alluding to that here, is the fact that they're planning on practicing for both makes it a little bit different than any other situation in the NFL, where you usually only practice for one quarterback. You know what you're getting from Tom Brady. Yeah, it's greatness, but you know what you're getting. Aaron Rodgers, you know what you're getting. You know what plays he's going to be successful in. Now you have to prepare for an all-encompassing style of offense. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. It's going to be, there's too much to cover, right? There's too many bases to cover. There's too many situations to cover and try and account for. And the worst part of it all, you haven't really seen what these situations are. So you're guessing, you're trying to assume, you're trying to speculate on what guys they could use in certain packages, what things and positions and schemes and plays and styles of run or styles of pass, or what are they going to try and do, right, to get Trey in rhythm? What are they going to do to get Jimmy in rhythm? Do we only focus on the intermediate pass game with Jimmy Garoppolo? Is that where our focus is? And then we come out and Jimmy sees those opportunities to take shots and he takes them. Do you focus on specifically the deep ball with Trey Lance and making sure that you have coverages that are designed, right, and schemed to take away those deep threats and deep options? And the Niners come out and emphasize tunnel screens, right, fly sweeps, little pitch passes, RPOs and things of that nature, and really operate in the short area of the field with Trey Lance out there. You're completely unprepared, right? Trey goes in, you throw those guys in the scheme in to take away A, and they run B. There's too many things to try and account for. Now, Dan Campbell's going to do everything that he possibly can, and he said as much, right? They're focusing on the Shanaplan. That's what the defensive goal and idea is this week. Prepare for both guys. Will it be enough? Will you be able to guess and predict correctly? I have a very hard time believing that they're going to have a lot of success trying to predict and prepare for this dual quarterback system, seeing as the Niners really haven't given a whole lot with it.
No, they haven't. And you've seen the stress that the run game can, cause on a defense when you have Trey Lance in there. And the key for the 49ers is always get the offensive run game going. If they get it going early on, Detroit's in a world of hurt, because that'll open up all aspects of the pass game for Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. It's like we've talked about before. You want to get Trey Lance out of the pocket early in this game and let him complete a high percentage pass to settle himself down. Once he does, he's usually able to operate the offense in a much higher level. But we've noticed the first pass is a little bit of a struggle, and things that go over the middle can be a little bit of a struggle. But it would be smart for the 49ers at first to try to take advantage of Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance's strengths, tip their hand on what they're going to do early and then completely flip the script and to let Jimmy Garoppolo go deep and let Trey Lance attack over the middle. I think that would throw Detroit off, and that would, once again, keep everyone off kind of the stench, the smell of what the 49ers offense is going to look like. And once you throw them off track, then you can continue to trick them each and every week, sometimes by giving them exactly what they expect and sometimes by giving them something completely different. But it's going to be hard for them, to figure out, because personnel groupings, usually you're just paying attention to how many tight ends, how many running backs. That'll let you know how many receivers are out there. But all of a sudden, now you have to pay attention to a quarterback change as well, where you have to pay attention and make sure maybe you need a different personnel grouping out there for Jimmy Garoppolo than you need for Trey Lance. Extra preparation, extra reads. And the first time that you're out there in the wrong read, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to pull the ball and go around the outside. And the first time you're out there in the wrong read and Trey Lance has an opportunity to hit you down the field, he's going to do it. These are going to be big. There's big play potential for the 49ers, more so than usual, because of the stress that the defense is going to be under.
Correct. And let's not forget also, Dan Campbell wants to shift this identity of this team to the defensive side of the ball. He wants them to be a team that can execute on defense and slow teams down, slow down an offense's attack from their opponent. But you got to account for this 49ers defense. And if they're going to spend this much time on their defensive side of the ball prepping for the 49ers offense, they're going to lose something on the other end, right? On the other side with their offense and the amount of ways that we can attack them with this front four, with this front seven in all reality. And so there's going to be some give and take there. So it's going to be interesting to see. Does the Lions offense get off to a hot start? Do they find their niche and be able to execute? Or are they going to struggle on one side of the ball and they're just hoping, right? Hoping and praying we can slow down this 49ers offense enough to get ourselves into a rhythm and keep this game close. It'll be interesting to see how that back and forth plays out early on in the game. If the Niners defense is able to shut down this Lions offense and put the 49ers in early field advantage positions or create some turnovers and put the Niners in easy scoring opportunities early in this game could get out of hand really, really quickly, or the Lions defense could answer the tone, slow this game down, and drag this game out a little longer than I think 49ers fans want. Most 49er fans right now feel like week one, we need to come out, smack this team around, right? Put this thing away early. Let's not have this be a Tampa Bay situation from 2019 where the game's a little tight until the pick six towards the end of the game, right? Let's put this thing away early. Let's take care of business.
Yeah, I think that they're going to come out there and attack right away on offense and on defense, and they're going to put the Detroit Lions on their heels. Detroit reminds me of a poor version of the 2017 San Francisco 49ers, where they're starting to build on the front, the front seven on both sides of the ball. They're really trying to build through those fronts, but they're not yet there because the Lions skill players are not as good as the San Francisco 49ers skill players were in 2017. The fact that he brought in Garcon and those guys, really did improve on the outside. Detroit doesn't have that. So that is going to be a real problem for them. Now, if you're right, if it starts getting out of hand, if Goff starts getting stuffed, if they start stopping Swift early on, this game could snowball out of hand because the 49ers defense can get after them, they can attack, they can cause turnovers, and once you get bad field position, it's going to be hard for you to stop this offense because anytime I think you're in that plus 40 territory, the 49ers can make a lot of plays. Jimmy Garoppolo is successful there, and then once you get into the red zone, Trey Lance is absolutely stunning inside the red zone. That is the part of the offense that the 49ers improve at a rapid pace with Trey Lance in control. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo also will be a little bit better there because he has more weapons than ever before. And Dan Campbell alludes to this because he talks about the Deebo Samuel effect. And Deebo Samuel being able to do all the things, whether it's playing on the outside or playing in the backfield, which seems to be his worry with fly sweeps and things of that nature. He talked about how he liked him when they were at New Orleans, and New Orleans really liked the things he could do with the ball. But the part of it that makes him the most dangerous is the versatility. And we've talked about this at a lot of length with Deebo Samuel. It's the stress he puts on a defense. You don't know what he's going to do in the receiving game. And he could be running a screen. He could be in the backfield. He could be taking it up the field. Whatever he wants to do, he can do. And Kyle Shanahan can use him however he wants. And at the same time, we're talking about Deebo Samuel. I just want to throw this in there. If Detroit is that worried about Deebo, a little part of them is worried about Jalen Hurd and the effect that he can have. If Jalen just runs across the field, if they're paying this much attention to Deebo, they're going to watch the 6'5", 230-pound guy that can do the same things running across the field. It doesn't mean he's going to do a lot in the offense. It just means you have to take your eyes off of somebody and onto him. And if your eyes aren't disciplined to your assignments and you're looking at something else, then Raheem Mostert runs right by you and it's a touchdown.
Absolutely. It's a big touchdown indeed. And look, this is one of those things where with Deebo, ironically enough, I didn't hear these comments. Our video on Patreon goes up, our fantasy football talk, our weekly episode on Patreon goes up, in which a member of the Cutback crew had asked about Deebo Samuel and Trey Sermon. Which guy do you play against Detroit in the flex spot? And I went with Deebo Samuel specifically for this reason. The diversity, the amount of ways that he can be utilized and attacked. If your focus and plan is to focus and try and slow down this quarterback system, the Shanaplan, you're going to leave yourself open for certain things. You're going to still try and take away certain things in the run game, and that's fine. It's A-okay. The Niners can attack you in different ways now with this run game than ever before. But you're going to lose something. Do you focus on Ayuk over the deep over the top? Do you focus on Ayuk over the middle? Are you focused on Deebo on the intermediate short routes? Or are you focused on Deebo with those fly sweeps? No matter what way you cut it, the 49ers have a variety of ways to attack you, and that doesn't even include George Kittle and what he can do vertically down the seam on the outside as well, short, intermediate passing attack. So there's just too many weapons for the 49ers. Deebo is a versatile weapon, and I like hearing those comments from Dan Campbell. I like someone putting some respect on the name of Deebo Samuel.
Who's
because
that?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Who is it indeed? Deebo Samuel is going to have a monster season, both as a running threat and a receiving threat. He's going to be one of the better all-purpose yardage guys in the league. Urban Meyer is sitting over there in Jacksonville right now wishing he had a guy like Deebo Samuel who plays physically, who can receive over them. Yeah, I know he's got Laviska Shenault. I know he's got that guy down there. But Laviska Shenault is a very, 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 very poor man's version of what Deebo Samuel can do because Deebo Samuel plays with more physicality than Laviska Shenault does.
He's also farther along in his career. Viska's a good player.
He is, absolutely.
I like Viska coming out of college, but you're right. Deebo plays at a different level than him. Deebo has an attitude that not a lot of receivers have. It's something that is impressive, and he laughs at defenders when they hit him and try to knock him out of bounds. You don't see receivers that laugh at contact, but he does. George Kittle does as well. And I think that's the key, is you have too many weapons for the 49ers for Detroit to be able to plan, right? Normally when you have a receiver like Brandon Ayuk, who we all think is going to ascend to be one of the better receivers in the league, when you have a guy like that, you can usually, run bracket coverage. You can sometimes have a safety help over the top. The problem with that is if you do that against 49ers, Deebo Samuel will beat you with the quick game, beat you with the intermediate, or George Kittle will beat you with anything that you want to do with him because he can beat you deep as well. And I think Deebo's going to add the vertical game this year as well. There's too many weapons and there's too many favorable matchups for the 49ers. It's all about getting favorable matchups. Kyle Shanahan's got the talent to get those favorable matchups. Dan Campbell knows those favorable matchups are coming. It's not going to be Detroit that's going for the kneecaps. It's going to be the 49ers that take the kneecaps early in this game if they're able to execute and use these versatile players the way they want. Too much to prepare for, whether it's the quarterbacks, the receivers, the skill players, by all the while having to worry about stopping this run. And if you have to dedicate a eighth defender in the box to stop the run, you are going to get absolutely gashed. So the 49ers are in a good position. Detroit needs to be able to stop the run game with the front seven. If they do, they can hang in this game.
Absolutely.
If they do not, it will be a world of hurt for them. And Raheem Mostert and Trey Sermon are going to go crazy.
They're going to go crazy indeed, and I hope that happens. I want it to happen, especially as a guy who owns Raheem Mostert in some fantasy leagues. I want some big days from Raheem Mostert. But look, that's not the only thing that's going on here. And part of the reason why Dan Campbell is talking about some of these players is the fact that this is the team that's been assembled, and what Kyle Shanahan has been able to do with them so far is next level. And ESPN, writers, talking heads, finally starting to take notice and put some respect on the name of Kyle Shanahan, because there's been a lot of Kyle Shanahan slander this offseason. This guy's a terrible head coach. This, that, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Word vomit, word vomit, word vomit. Finally, some respect. Some people finally putting out there, and scouts throughout the league putting out there that Kyle Shanahan, if everything goes according to what Kyle Shanahan wants to do with this team, right, the Shanaplan, if it all pans out, he is going to easily win Coach of the Year and be the best coach in the league. They're going to do things things with the offense that the league has never seen before at a level and a rate that has never been done before because of this potential two-quarterback system here in San Francisco. This is something that we've been harping on for some time with Kyle Shanahan. If they execute this thing, right, if you're able to take this two-quarterback system and make it so it's not predictable, right? It's not only is it not predictable, but it has no tendencies, or at least the tendencies are hard to come by because both guys you feel can operate the system the same. Therefore, you don't have to put one in and one does one thing and one does another thing. Trey Lance can come in and take the deep shots, also operate under middle, also run with the football. Jimmy can go in, take the deep shots when they're there, operates over the middle at a high level, operates underneath, and occasionally have him pull when no one else expects it and have him scamper for 4 or 5 yards, get down in space, don't get hurt, right? If both guys can operate all aspects of this offense, you become extremely unpredictable. And if you're unpredictable, ESPN, a lot of these writers are basically saying, how are you going to slow this offense down? Kyle Shanahan is basically on the fast track to Coach of the Year, and he's going to try to do it in a way that's never really been attempted before.
The writers don't understand what Kyle Shanahan was trying to do. And it's nothing against them. It's just it's never happened before.
Correct.
You've never had it to this level where two quarterbacks, that are probably going to play at a certain level, a rookie coming in and then a guy that is this good. I think Mike McDaniel said it best. Most teams don't have two good quarterbacks. And that's what you're looking at. So what Kyle Shanahan has done is he convinced his team. One of the great things about being a leader is being able to put your vision forth, and then everyone buys into the vision, right? Everyone can see it. Right now, the whole team knew all through training camp, and that's why they were all completely bought into what he was doing. Now what you're seeing is now that the reporters see the vision of what Kyle Shanahan wants to do, and they understand what he's going to do with Jimmy Garoppolo, they also are expressing and agreeing with his vision and understanding that if the vision is successful, it's going to somewhat revolutionize the way the football is played, because now you can bring in a young quarterback that has these athletic skills, put them with a more traditional style quarterback, and use them in a two-quarterback setting that you can use both of their assets to your advantage. Kyle Shanahan is just a little bit ahead of the curve. That's it. But I think it's good that these writers are realizing it and giving him that positive publicity, and that way he can kind of freely be able to operate without so much criticism. Now, if it doesn't work, that criticism is going to fall on him,
and it should.
And he knows. I mean, he realizes. I mean, everyone knows the buck stops with the head coach, and Kyle Shanahan would always have the buck stop with him. But sometimes with being a visionary, you face those type of obstacles early on. Is people don't understand your vision, so people will try to, because when you only see things one way, you can't understand where they're going another way. Now, if Kyle Shanahan would have came out from the beginning and said it, people could have embraced the vision a lot earlier. Kyle Shanahan didn't want to do that because he didn't want anyone else to know besides the people in the room. Now that it's out there, some people are embracing the vision, some people are behind it, some people are still trying to wrap their heads around it. And I think until they actually see it in games, it won't be, fully inbred, in their minds where they understand what it is. So I think it's going to be fun. And I think once people see it, more people are going to come around to where ESPN writers are. And everyone's going to just enjoy having Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. I'm not sure people are still ready to grasp the idea that Trey Lance might not take over sometime this season. People still are fully expecting, even ESPN, I believe, thinks he's going to take over about week 11.
Week 11 was in that same article. They said week 11, which is for us, we see that and it's like, no, that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be both guys all season long. But the idea, right? The idea that you can utilize these guys in tandem. They think it's going to be utilized in tandem until Trey's ready to completely take over the system. Yeah. You and I both are viewing this right now and looking at this as being, no. Both guys are going to get utilized the entirety of the season. Both guys are going to be the reason why, if we get to a Super Bowl and get number 6, it's going to be on the both of them. Both of them are going to get the job done. It's not going to be one over the other. The only way that happens is if one of them goes down with a long-term injury.
Or unless Trey just becomes unbelievably, successful in every aspect of his game out there where
you can't afford to not have him on the field.
There's no denying now that he's that much better than Jimmy Garoppolo in every aspect of the game. Yeah. Then he will definitely take over. I think there will be huge growth, but I think it's also an easier split if you get to the offseason and you kind of are able to separate from the season. No matter what happens during the season, it's an easier split then to move on from Jim than making him a backup. Because you do have teammates that really love him and really care about him. This locker room is strong enough to do whatever Kyle wants to do. I just think ultimately it's a little bit easier if it happens during an offseason where you're not in the same building with these guys every single day. It'll make it not only easier on Trey, Jimmy, but also on the teammates and coaches.
Correct. It definitely will. It'll also make it easier for us here at the Cutback, because then we don't feel like we have to take sides, and we get to ride the Shanaplan all the way through the 2021 season, which is what we'd like to do.
Yeah, I probably won't take sides no matter what. I've been down this road with the whole Joe Montana, Steve Young thing. I lived through it. I know a lot of people that are listening to this have lived through that moment, and it was agonizing. There were literally people that went to Kansas City with Joe Montana, and then there was people that stayed with Steve. I was one of the ones that of course stayed. I have family members that went to Kansas, went with the Kansas City Chiefs and rooted for Joe. I rooted for Joe when he was playing, not when he played the 49ers. I wasn't as big of a Steve Young fan, but I was a 49er fan, so I rooted for Steve Young. No matter what happens in a quarterback situation, if that one didn't sway me, because Joe Montana is one of my favorite 49ers of all time, that one didn't sway me, this sure as heck is not swaying me about my love for the 49ers and ultimately agreeing with what Kyle Shanahan comes up with.
Agreed. This is Kyle Shanahan's team. He and John Lynch have done a great job of constructing it. We're going to put our faith in them, and we hope you put your faith in the 49ers Cutback. If we haven't earned your subscription today, we hope we have. Hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that notification bell as well. That way you're notified for all of our daily videos at 11 a.m. Those live streams on Thursday, which are our preview shows. We preview the game, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. You don't want to miss any of that, as well as face-offs on Monday and plenty of new additional content coming soon, including a new show Friday.
Yeah, new show Friday. Know your opponent. We're going to be talking to our Detroit Lions insider about everything that is Lions versus 49ers.
True.
And it's going to be exciting because we have somebody that understands the ins and outs of what they're trying to do up there, and we're going to get into it. Another coaching mindset that we can kind of talk to and go over the game. I think it'll be a fun conversation, and I'm really looking forward to that. And don't forget that on Thursday, a new 49ers Cutback in Time will be airing over on Patreon. Go check that out. That'll be fun as well. So lots of good stuff coming out. Find your way all the way around, navigate it. But there's going to be plenty right here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that notification bell because you don't want to miss it. But Know Your Opponent comes out on Friday.
Going to be a fun one. You're not going to want to miss that. Plus some surprise stuff coming this week as well. You don't want to miss any of that. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you become the newest member of the Cutback crew, just like those 4 individuals down there in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. All have hit that subscribe button recently. They're public YouTube channels, so they get featured right here. You get your name on an episode. Don't miss out on any of that. And we got tons of great stuff coming up. Tons of great stuff still to come. And also only a little bit of time left to get this Training Camp 2021 t-shirt at the 49erscutbackshop.com. Head on over there as well. There's a lot of great stuff.
Yes, and if you're not going to miss one day on this channel, don't miss Friday. Thursday night, we'll probably kick it off with the preview show. Do not miss the preview show, the 1-year anniversary of us doing our first video show on YouTube. And then Friday is a full lineup of great content. You do not want to miss it.
Nope, and we're not going to release it either. We're not going to spoil anything. You're going to get just content all up in your face on Friday. So make sure you're here. Make sure you're here for the live stream on Thursday. Until next time, 49ers fans, the Cutback crew, the faithful, stay safe.
You remember the right way
is always the 49ers way.